Welcome. You listen to 360 Info. I'm your host, Antonio. What you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself. And what you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself. And what you know of yourself depends on what you've been told of yourself, man. However so important that is for us as African-American people. It's sunny outside. But guess what? It's still got a little chill. We just around the corner here and get this weather breaking on us. But hey, hang on in there, Cleveland. We'll be there in a minute. Just to remind you, on this Monday at 7, our community chat live with Sister Amani. If you want to chime in, you can give me a call. So I can give you the call-in number. We had some great conversations. We're saving the world. We're coming up with all kinds of suggestions. So it's a great thing. Got Brother Vince in our remote studio. Brother G, what's going on with you?
Man, there's so much I can't even share it with you. I don't want to burden Cleveland with my burdens, but most of it is good. And I heard your prognostication, and I just looked up the weather reports. They're predicting a possibility of snow next Thursday or Friday. So,
man, get out of here! Quit playing.
We're not out of the woods yet, but
oh my goodness,
spring is just around the corner. So yes, all right. So as always, we want to communicate the urgency of sponsorship of 360 Info Network. Look at ways that your business can take advantage of an exposure to the audience that we have and an ability to market your goods and services on 360 Info Network. So if you are interested, please consider giving our brother Stephen E. Boyd a call at 216-526-1297 to take advantage of the advertising and marketing possibilities right here on this vehicle. We also have a multi-platform exposure to an audience because we are using social media and we are using the internet. So once again, consider that. We have a very interesting guest on our show this morning. He is Rofe Mocksheriel Yehudah, and he is a preventive health specialist. His biography is very extensive, so as opposed to me reading it to you, we want to bring him into the room and have him describe who he is and what he does. Welcome to 360 Info Network, Brother Mocksheriel.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I first of all, giving all praises to the Most High. I am very happy to be here. I have a great love for Cleveland. I think it's something very special and missed. My name is Mocksheriel. Mocksheriel means instrument of the Most High. I was born and raised, I would even add, miseducated in Chicago. And at a point, a high point, I was attempting to go through the college system. I was taking 36 hours in 2 different colleges and trying to make it happen, do what, would accomplish the American dream, etc. At a point after being involved in photojournalism, filmmaking, etc., at Columbia University, Central Y College, I attempted to get a job at Playboy. That fell in on my face after doing everything, qualifying, etc., the test, acing that. I was told that I could wash dishes and scrub floors. That actually was a blessing and not a curse, because it caused me to reach out to my Creator and ask to never have to undergo the embarrassment that I underwent. Not long after that, I went swiftly into being invited to create jewelry, just like on the spot. Brother asked me, what's your birth sign, brother? When were you born? I said, July 4th, da-da-da-da-da. He said, sit down, there's your table right there, make jewelry. From that point on, I became autonomous, independent, and the glory of that was that I had power over my time. Continuing on, seeking truth, though. Seeking truth led me to leaving Chicago. Great job, beautiful people, etc. Dangerous. I lived in Inglewood. And I got on a plane and went to Northeast Africa, mistakenly called the Middle East, Israel. Not long after that, I connected with people that I was looking for of the same mind, seeking freedom, artists, craftsmen, engineers, teachers, etc., assembled there. And immediately I was invited, actually, to join to enroll in the School of the Prophets, which I did. I graduated from with honors, ended up interning at what is called the Beit Chaim, which is a house of life, translated from Hebrew, where it was a preventive health clinic, holistic preventive health clinic, where we use plant remedies, fasting, diet, prayer, meditation, etc., and were very successful. It was during that time I also became the minister over culture, and it was there the combination of working the House of Life, administrating, and being Minister of Culture, that I made a very serious connection, profound connection. And that is, when people are born, the diseases that they have, the constitution involved, and the celestial bodies, a cosmic correlation between where the sun was, moon was, stars were when you were born. I went on in my studies and research after curing many of the incurable, supposedly, diseases there, mutating measles, whooping cough, malaria, etc. I continued my studies to learn that not only are those facts and correlations discernible in people, but also in history. There's a date that governs, connects Black Wall Street, for example, with where the planet Mars is right now. Where the planet Mars was when when Mike Tyson bit off Holyfield's ear. There's a relativity that connects Hitler and the machinations and strategies that he did that were later defeated by Churchill, based on the fact that he understood that his strategies and points of attack were based around celestial alignments. So I've been doing that for nearly 50 years now. And there's a correlation that is, how you say, applicable right now. Mars in Gemini, along with the sun in Pisces. All these names are different. Yes, one of my missions was to change all of those names to ancient African names. Those names are not the same. It's not the god of war operating through blood and Aries and all that. No. It's called Ruach HaKadmonim. That means spirit of our ancestors returning. So I did that for each one of the signs, right? So where we're at now, one of the things that we have been separated from and suffer as a result of is that we don't make those kind of connections. We don't understand. We do not employ different things where we jump into marriage because we like that sister's shape and, you know what I'm saying, how she blink and all of that. But we don't include the whole celestial makeup that's involved. And it sooner or later comes into, bam, head on, and we have a large ratio of separations, broken marriages, etc.
And that's because I'm not going to say primarily because, but it's partially because people don't consider the science that's involved in relationships. This is some very interesting discourse, Brother Mocksheriel, and we want to dive a little bit into the cosmic connection as it relates to the United States of America and where it is on a global scale right now. And if people don't know what I'm talking about the fall of Babylon. We want to explore that in a cosmological sense. So I want you to hold your thought. Because we're at 11:15 and we got to take a break. But I'm really interested in your perspective on this. You're listening to 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 with your hosts, Hamtonio and Vince Robinson, and our guest, Rofe Mocksheriel Yehudah. We'll be right back with more after these messages. We're back. 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 with Hamtonio, Vince Robinson, and our special guest, Rofe Mocksheriel Yehudah. or not Ben Yehudah, but Mocksheriel Yehudah. I'm thinking about some other folks who went by those things.
I've used Ben Yehudah at a point, you know, but there are points. We can discuss that later.
Okay.
But I don't want to stay in ancient Babylon. I just want to make a correlation and hit some points because I can feel the time is the essence, and this is encyclopedic kind of information, right? So I just want to make.
Go ahead, brother.
Come on. No, go ahead.
What I was thinking too before we actually get into the cosmology of that relationship, I think it would be important for our listeners from our perspective of the interview of knowing that how our ancestors use that and why, and how touch a little bit on how it relates to us, and then we can see and go into how that relationship affects us globally here and how it can be used for us, against us, and whatever. You know what I mean? Of them understanding the science of that and how our ancestors use that and why it's important. Because I know in the Bible it talked about how the firmaments in the heavens would be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and why that is important, and why we should be looking to that, to incorporate that into our day-to-day.
Let me preface that by saying in the 19th Psalm, since we'll go to the scriptures, in the 19th Psalms it says, "The heavens declare the glory of the Most High, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night shows knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice," whose voice? The voice of the heavenly bodies, "are not heard." Right? We got a warning. May 3rd, 2000, we got a warning. 7 planets aligned in a row. They called it pearls hanging on a string. The World Watcher said it was the end of the world, right? It was an alignment of Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc., right? Okay. Those were for signs and seasons, but they slipped right past us. Okay, where's the Jupiter-Saturn, the great conjunction? Where's the feedback on that now? Where are the classes? Who's giving, you know what I'm saying, a pro and bringing us up to date with right now? Nobody. First of all, it didn't begin with Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. That's been going on ever since. How did our ancestors correlate the movement of the heavenly bodies? Watch. They watch the winds. They know the winds, right? They can tell. When a baby is born, they know this baby got a veil on his eye. That's a prophetess there. You understand? They are able to connect nature. We've gotten away from nature, many things. We were given, using the scriptures again, we were given dominion. It said, "Let us make man in the image and likeness of the Most High," right? Let us, right? So, wait a minute. Then along with that, let's say, let him have dominion over the earth, over everything above the earth and under the earth. We don't have that, right? So we lost dominion. We lost a very favorable connection. Right now, they don't know, consult the book of Enoch. They make mistakes. They mythologize things. For example, a man held up his hand and told the sun, "Don't move," right? And moon, "Stand still." Now, these are things you could take them in mythology, allegories, or whatever. But yes, the sun, moon, and stars to be for lights. But if you go to the book of Isaiah, it tells you that we were given to be for wonders in the heavens, signs and wonders. So it's in us. That's the whole key. We forgot. We go get teach to unlearn what is already embedded inside of us. If we can be silent, if we can fast, if we can pray together, if we can stop out all of these distractions and third, third dimension mundane I gotta have, and this is what makes me important and all of that. And get inside of our spiritual selves. And those things then connect us with the heavenly bodies. Yes, we're in Pisces. Pisces is a dualistic sign symbolized by two fish, one going up, one going down. I want to deal with America. Count the numbers since July 4th, 1776. It has an astrology too, right? That means that America, United States of America, is under the sign of Cancer. a water sign, right? All of these things are traceable. You can connect them. The numbers. 10 toes. The 10 toes. What is the coronavirus? It's a alchemical neurological stratagem, machination, right? Using numbers. What? The 10 Commandments? 10 toes, right? 10 plagues on ancient Kemet, if you will, right? It's all calibrated in metaphysics, but it's above our heads. Then they say, let's take crafty counsel and cut these people off so it'll never be a name Israel. Israel, ISIS, Ra, El. What are you saying? That adds to the number 10 right there. That's a 10. That's a 1. What is Hero Israel? The Most High is 1. Ain't that what we need to come together as one? So in these numbers are hidden secrets, but we're not allowed to teach them. Where are they teaching them at? Where's the School of Higher Understanding? Well, I went to one. It's called the School of the Prophets, and that's what I was trained to do, to connect the dots so that we could know what was supposed to happen. It says, before things happen, I tell you of them, saith the Most High. So I believe that. I'm a part of it. I've done it. I don't practice the theology or the theory of so-called astrology. It ain't even astrology. I call it breaking the seals. Why was it why breaking the seals? Because everything was sealed and closed up and hidden, right? So we have to go through the seals. In the scriptures, again, they call it the New Testament. It said, and John wept because there was nobody could break the seals and open the books thereof. Okay, the books is us. The books is embedded inside of us. And when we understand these different seasons and cycles that are taking place as above, so below, then we can better understand how to move, how to come together, why our chemistry matches ego against ego. You know what I'm saying? Instead of sitting down and listening, brother, let us sit down and, you know what I'm saying, reason together. That's it. Well, brother, it's all in us.
Well, Brother Mocksheriel, I was studying some years back, some ancient, literature and some ancient information about numbers, or just a little bit. I just dabbled in that, but you bring up an interesting point, and I think that there's the reason for some of our disconnection to some of the things that you're saying. You know, when we're dealing with numbers, and we just understand or just deal with the quantitative value of numbers. But there's a sacred significance of numbers.
Thank you.
And there's a symbolic significance of number. And that's what you're leading to. We don't get into that. We don't understand that. That seems, voodoo, way space age for us to get into that. And and then not knowing, when I think that's where you're going, is that how everything is cyclical, and dealing with numbers and cycles, and our ancestors sit back and watch those particular things occur and reoccur, and that's how they was able to prove those things as being factual or having some deeper meaning in a relationship. And then, and lastly, above all, they understood that everything, like you said, as above, so below, is connected and is in relationship to each other. I think that is pivotal, and that is the thing that we need to drive home, that everything is connected. So the cosmos is not separated from you. So if everything is about energy and everything is about frequency, and those alignments that you're talking about cause different cosmic things to happen in the cosmos, which affects everything in and around and inside of the cosmic and planetary area, then it affects you as well. That's the relationship we're talking about.
Okay, so I wanted to drill
again. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to drill back to the idea that the cosmology has relevance to this country as it is now, and I was intentional about bringing up the metaphor of Babylon, because I can remember back in those days talking about the fall of Babylon. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is what your understanding of the prophecy is in relation to this country right now and the cosmic energy that's present.
Okay. again, straight to the point. December 31, 2020, there were at one point 6 planets aligned in Saturn, right? Coming out of the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn and Cancer are opposites, right? They built, since Capricorn rules the 10th house using Western astrology, the 10th house has to do under Saturn with boxing things in, with setting a new order, etc., right? Systems, military, etc., come up under Saturn. 6 planets took place, right? When we moved on, because there's a lot to fill in between that, but when we moved on, we came to the sign of Aquarius, right? The sign of Aquarius breaks the laws or goes outside of the laws or becomes eclectic and attempts to innovate on the laws that Saturn made. During that time, that's when they raided the capital, etc. But if you want to see, we have to bring all this together. We have to bring history together, scripture together, numbers together, planetary alignments together, and we ourselves, because we are universe within us, our emotions, right? Our emotions. I can feel things coming and cry, right? So one of the things that we need to look at is the 7 stages of the decline of a civilization, right? You can go in there and Google that, and it'll show you when you get to a certain level, after starting off as pioneers and colonizers, etc., when you get to a certain level, these are the signs that are telling you, right, America is only 10 years or less away from going through the same thing that ancient Rome, ancient Persia, ancient Babylon went through, right? And there's a cosmic alignment that you can, I wrote books. I got so many books I've written. The 4 blood moons, that's one, right? If you want to trace it historically, right? The Great Rebellion in Haiti and what took place under Nat Turner. Those things are related to things that happened with the planetary bodies. That was the signal, when to move, etc. So, yes, it's a lot of study, but there is a provable correlation between where we are right now, Mars in Gemini, Sun in Pisces, duality, bipolarism, mental disturbances, mania can come forth out of that because it's dualistic, right? So I can't do this all in a little bit of time, but I'm willing to come back. I was thinking about getting on a plane because Cleveland is in a very pivotal prophetic situation, and I've seen that when I talked about Tamir Rice on the stage. So it's a lot to be shared, and look, it's a word in Hebrew. It says, Milale Hakamim Dai. It means a word to the wise is sufficient. We got to be quick understanding, willingness. Now, that's where diet and preventive health comes in, right? You can't eat all these different things, Wendy's and all this other crap, and then come home, lay down, go to bed, and then get up and drink your coffee and your this and that. Your mind can't handle at the rate that we need to comprehend and analyze, you know what I'm saying, and listen, you know. It's a whole, they call it a new world order. Yeah, it's a new norm, but the norm is out of this 3rd dimension where physical things take over. Spending $500, I heard a brother bought a belt for $500, a Gucci belt for $500. You know what I'm saying? That's a mindset that it's out of control.
Yes, well,
it's out of control.
So I just want to kind of bring some understanding out of what you just shared with us. And you're talking about this restructuring that happens as a result of this planetary lineup of 6 planets in
Capricorn first, and
right,
and then move into Aquarius.
Right,
we're in Pisces.
Right, moving into Aquarius, and I wanted to talk about that, but we don't have time because there's a whole conversation around whether or not we're in the age of Aquarius or whether we're still in Pisces, and I get that. But what I'm looking at is this financial restructuring that's taking place around the planet. Right now you have the SEC bringing a lawsuit against a company called Ripple vehicle that is responsible for a coin that's moving money around the planet much faster than the traditional banking system. So now you see the banking system making adjustments so that they can capitalize on an ability to move money. Then on the other hand, you see in the United States, they're moving towards a digital dollar system and people using digital wallets and moving away from the way they did things before. We're also looking at a conversion from gasoline-powered vehicles to automated electric vehicles. So you're seeing a lot of transformation, outside-the-box thinking, restructuring that is all symptomatic of what you spoke about. So I just wanted to get your perspective on whether or not there's any relevance to these kinds of changes taking place in relationship to the planetary alignments that you spoke of.
Yeah, when I talk about duality and the fact that the sun is in so-called Gemini, and the sun is in Pisces, and Mars is in Gemini. Mars rules like activity, competition, you know what I'm saying, strategies, etc. Gemini moves with data processing, again, dealing with numbers, accounting, taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But see, there's a higher level that the Aquarian mind, and there were just 2 or 3 days ago, 4 planets in Aquarius. It moves higher than that. It's connected with what is called the Akashic Records. But jumping back down to the monetary factor, you remember in Revelations where it talk about can't no man buy or sell unless he got a stamp on his forehead or in his hand. You know what I'm saying? So that, here we go. We got disease, we got fear, then we got money changes, and we got new world order. We got another man running around talking about killing 7 billion people on the planet. In other words, all of these things are aimed at lowering our ancestral consciousness and our intuitive faculties to outthink this. Correct me if I'm wrong, they just proved Einstein's theory of relativity wrong, and he was a Nigerian brother. He was he's been acclaimed as the greatest mathematician on the planet, right? So things are also changing, but there's a great propaganda and confusion among our people. I mean, at my particular matured age of 77, I could spend 2 hours trying to talk to a human being instead of a robot about what happened to a package that I sent a month and a half ago. I'm telling you, distractions are at a high point. Technology, as great as it is, we were founders of, it's driving us crazy. Freud, civilization and its discontent. Neurasthenia. What is neurasthenia? Neurasthenia is a disease that attacks civilization, a country where they have had excess for too long. They bored. All of this pedophilia, trafficking, and all of that is a result of the freakism coming in because they're tired of having too much wealth. Neurasthenia, an undiagnosable disease. So, yeah, the mathematics, that's not my forte like that, but I can tell you the cosmo factors that produce that. Okay.
Well, would you say that, brother Mocksheriel, that, you know, and that gives us our historical background that kind of correlates with that, and that's what I kind of like our ancestors kind of proving it to themselves about these cycles, because the man in his growth, you know, or thirst for knowledge, or due to its progression or evolution, is this like a cyclical type of situation that tends to happen? I guess if you choose this particular
over and
path,
over and over again,
and unbeknownst to you, and not working with these particular changes and going against them, or being oblivious to this stuff, could be the destiny that is placed in front of you because of such denial.
I feel you. Two. One comes out of Jeremiah, and the other one comes out of the mouth of Marcus Garvey. Out of the book of Jeremiah, it says, "Look, we could heal Babylon, but she can't be. She refused to be healed." If we had put this many money and power in our hands over 400 years with the mindset that we have, the dunk backwards and all that other innovative stuff that we got, right? But then the other one comes from Marcus Garvey. He said, in other words, to solve the problems that the black man have in America is to leave America. Leave out, meaning that our minds can operate the vibrations, the radioactivity, all of the wickedness that circumnavigates this particular portion of the world. We can breathe. I ran a jewelry factory, the Ministry of Culture, healing, had 10 children. I mean, it's amazing what the brother was giving us. He was throwing us the baton. So, yes, it is a connecting with it. And a lot of this is not just going to college. When I was sitting there in college, two things. One, I found out that the teacher was taking my ideas and using them for his upper collegiate courses, etc. And two, Spirit told me, get up, leave out of there because you are losing more than you're gaining, right? So it's about us having faith. Here's Nelson Mandela. Our greatest fear is that we are too powerful, brother, because with power comes responsibility. And that's a whole other thing that we have to, cut off this post-traumatic slavery syndrome. That don't serve us no longer. Get out of that. We had another future. We kings and queens. We the scholars, the astronomers, all of that.
So how do we do that, brother? Excuse the interruption, but I think that's a very important point because we've been dealing with post-slavery disorder, post-traumatic slavery disorder for a long time. It's epigenetically wired into us, and we don't get the therapy that we need in order to address it. So how do we do that?
Right here where I'm at, I came here because I was very ill, suffered a terrible car accident, had nervous breakdown, etc. Where I'm at, we do meditations 3 times a week. We have self-mastery through hypnotic therapy. We have understood what you're asking and begin to put ourselves in a higher dimensional consciousness where we begin to, separate ourselves for those thoughts, that subconscious, that ego that really no longer serves us, right? And move on. It's like jettisoning ourselves out of that. We don't have to stay in that over and over and over again. If we made mistakes, forgive them. I blew that. You can come back and say, well, I did the best I could with what I had. Okay, that's cool, but that ain't enough. Lehit Stadek means not only I'm sorry for doing that, it means I'm going to make it right. So there's work involved that we do, and we dislocate ourselves and free ourselves and forgive ourselves and start issuing in more love. You know what I'm saying? Be more holistic, be open, study.
Would you say,
process,
brother,
but it's doable.
Yeah. Would you say, brother, in dealing with some understanding and recapping some of our cultural rituals and ways of doing things? Because even through, we can look at one aspect of culture of dealing with rhythm, synchronization, songs and things like that. But those things are tools to reinforce or even evoke some of the stuff that has already been inside of us, like we talked about that before. So how would that whole cultural piece connect with help navigating us through these trying times as well?
I think one of the things that would allow us to get started would to understand we're not created equal. We are in the sense that we breathe and, you know what I'm saying, eat and et cetera, but we are different. We are created different. I just got through talking to a sister who, if you do her chart, meaning where the planets were when she was born, right, it turned out that she didn't have, there are 4 essential elements that they use in this particular part of astrological analysis, and that is fire, earth, air, and water, right? The sister didn't have any air in her chart. So the air is the factors that operate out of Gemini, Libra, et cetera, but it has to do with an element of left brain, logic, things like that. So she was highly emotional, right? So I'm saying that one of the first steps is to understand your own personal makeup, right? What are your triggers? What gets you off? What do you need? How do you have to present yourself in front of you? Got your character, then you got your personality. Your personality, your persona, you'll be anything. You'll be a comedian. You'll be the company boss or whatever. Your character is something. It's your truth. You stand on that. You be that. You are that. Then you got your identity. You have to learn these things. I can tell you another one, though. This is on the spiritual, metaphysical level. I was inside the king's chambers and started praying. And when I prayed, all the tourists, Europeans, left, right? Then I went outside and I looked across the Nile and I said, damn, Hank Aaron could hit a home run across the Nile from the Egypt side of the Nile to the so-called Northeast Africa, Israel. They connected. They're not separated by an ocean, which separates continents. So there are things we have to study. I just pulled up Anthony Browder's chart. I'm going to send it to him. I went on a tour with him. He's brother over there digging, excavating, bringing up truth, right? We need to know things. We need to study. Truth will set us free. That's what it said. And it will. It'll start the process. Look, do something for yourself. Check the numbers that you operate on, the number of your address, the number of your Social Security number, your phone number. Check and just do a little background check and see if there's not a pattern connected with you. In the 90th chapter of the Psalms, it says, teach us to number our steps so that we will be made wise. It's a numerological thing that's working for us, right? So it's a process, but it ain't. I'm seeing more reaching out for truth and higher levels of consciousness being added to dealing with our problems. We take things too personally. We think our wife is the problem. We don't look a little different to say that there's a cosmic factor that's influencing her now, and she need to be a little cool. She need to write some poetry or something, a little more, give her some space, etc. Bring a higher level of consciousness as we begin to understand ourselves, we understand those around us.
Okay.
And then that just...
Yes. So you're talking about the importance of understanding numbers in relation to our lives, and you're hitting on some very interesting points that I think deserve further insight. So what I like to do is I'd like to invite you and Lynn or Hamtonio to join me on StreamYard following this broadcast. I give you a few moments to get set up. If you'd like to do that, we can do that. I sent you a link to your Facebook inbox. I also sent that link to Lynn in the event that he's able to join us and we can continue this conversation. But right now, we have to take a break. So I'll just remind you that you are listening to 360 Info Network with Hamtonio and Vince Robinson and our very special guest, Rofe Mocksheriel Yehudah. We'll be back with more 360 Info in just a few moments. Welcome back to 360 Info Network. Vince Robinson, Hamtonio, and our guest, Rofe Mocksheriel Yehudah. We were talking about the importance of numbers before we took this break, and while we were on break and before we went to break, I invited you to join me on StreamYard today, but I understand that there are some complications that won't enable that to happen today, and quite honestly, I need a break to take care of some other things. So things happen when they're supposed to happen, and I'm sure, Brother Mocksheriel, you can co-sign with the idea that things happen when they're supposed to happen. Then we will make them happen.
Absolutely.
But, you know, we were having an interesting conversation about numbers, and, you know, you referenced some other things earlier in our conversation, and it is extremely and vitally important that we know how numbers affect us, the number of letters in your name, the date that you were born on, you know, certain astrological implications that are related to those numbers. Talk to us a little bit about the, I guess, the intersection between astrology and numerology.
Yeah. They're astronomy, astrology, all the ologies, that's a Greek word. They're actually really connected, right? for example, one of the things I think that needs to be clarified at first is that before you could consider yourself an Aries or a Pisces, etc., you got to consider the time you were born as well as the date you were born, even where you were born. All of those translate through numbers, right? And we begin to understand that someone born on what is a cusp, right? That means as one sign is ending and another one is beginning, that's all calibrated through numbers, degrees, right? One sign moves from Aries to Taurus, for example, at 29 degrees and 59 minutes, right? Leading up to that, you are transiting, they call it, into another sign. So some of those characteristics click in, right? So you don't have one Aries and that everybody just fits up under that. Right, that's an illusion. That's a marketing technique. They use it to sell birthstones, etc. So yes, numbers play a very important part. Use the scriptures, for example. No, use Nina Simone. She said, "I told Jesus, if you change my name, it'll be all right." Okay, take that. Go back. Use Abraham. Right. When it was determined that he would be the father of many nations, reading out of the scriptures, we use them, or any, we use the I Ching. Out of the scriptures, it was determined that when his name changed, then it expanded his prophetic destiny. And that's what numerology does. And I can see why we have different names. My name is not only Mocksheriel Yehudah. My name is Shabtai Kumi. Shabtai Kumi is connected to a prophecy that means arise, shine, for your light has come. See, darkness covers the earth and gross darkness the people, but upon you shall the light be shown. Now that's relative. I didn't name myself that. That came through the Spirit, right? So as you do begin to change the numbers in your name and change your diet and refer to your time, date, place of birth, and you see that there is a correlation, thank you, between the numbers that follow you or trying to give you messages. I wake up every morning, it's between 8 and 9, right? It moved from 8, 9, and 10. I'll go back to the name Israel. Israel means one who has power with men and move straight to the Most High. That's what Yisrael means. It means Yisrael. Hebrew means one who has crossed over. You could be a Hebrew and a Muslim too. You could be a Hebrew and a Moor. My great-grandfather was a Ghaudiyite. You know what I'm saying? No, but Duality is rest in peace. It's in my great-grandfather's funeral home. Whatever you call it. So we're connected. And we're using these either astrology, numerology, meditation, diet, fasting, all of those things help to open us up so that we can break the seals.
So brother, then, by doing that and making that connection too as well, and going back historically, then you could kind of zero in on time frames or even different events and that took place back then with the people and learning the etymology and how that connects to the numerology and how that connects to the time frame or the alignments that took place. So what ushered in what event to the next event or situation, all that would tie in together historically. Then once you start seeing a pattern, and that's how our ancestors did. They start seeing a pattern and making that whole correlation and that whole relationship with this historical cycle that we are dealing with. Then is that what you're saying?
As you were saying that, the question arose, how many of us are able to do that? You know what I'm saying? How many of us are freed up sufficiently? The clinic that I was in charge of, we didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? It was a free clinic.
So I had to go out and make jewelry and go out and sell it. You know what I'm saying? And then come back and work on remedies and research and study and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, we've got to empower, protect, establish those who are our scholars to do this for us. You know, this is a full-time job. I'm getting more calls to do charts and counseling, and just the question you asked me, well, what's the correlation? How do I get in touch with my ancestors using gemstones? Things like that. You know what I'm saying? What is the color? All kind of things as we are reaching out now more than I've ever seen to connect.
You think it was foretold? You think it was foretold? You think it was foretold that this time was going to happen?
Most definitely. Most definitely it was foretold. That's why I'm telling you, listen, if you take the correlation between Daniel again, going through a brother again, going through refusing to eat the king's meat. How many people refuse to eat the king's meat? Man, if you're talking about, man, the king is giving out free meat. What? Okay, but connect that with the fact that by refusing to eat the king's meat, he was able to surpass all the ancient Chaldeans, all the astronomers, the soothsayers, etc., who could not break the codes on a dream that the king dreamt, right? And in that, we are able to draw that there is a relationship between how we eat, how we think, positions that we take, and messages that we receive, right? You want to connect with the ancestors? Okay. There's a season when you can connect with certain ancestral powers. There's a book of angelology. The numbers that your birthday connects with other names, numbers, letters, symbols, all of that. This is an age-old science, right, that has been blotted out from us and demonized, etc.
I got to ask this, brother. 1 second, real quick. Okay.
We just have like a minute left.
Okay. The relationship then, real quick then, what makes me believe in, what about vibrations then? So is that vibratory energy relates with that as well? I mean, even with the calling of a name or a deity or entity, you know, is there a relationship at all with that?
Yeah, we
got 1 minute.
We got 30 seconds now.
30 seconds.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You can say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Or you can say, Abino Asher Bashiman, Yikadashimeka, dear Malkuteka, Yeretse, Retsonha, Kimo Bashimayan came by. Listen, yes, there is a vibration that comes out of sound. There is a vibration that emanates and empowers. Yes, a brother cured disease playing the bass. Yes. Antonio, and I'm telling you, this is I call it breaking the seals because it's an opening of that which has been closed so much, and I credit you.
Okay, we're really running out of time, but I think that we need to return to this subject matter because, as I see it, we're being kept away from the knowledge that you're giving us today, brother. And I think the intentionality is to keep us away from understanding ourselves so that we can make a difference. I was thinking about eating the king's meat, and for whatever reason, I was equating that to getting a jab. Thanks for joining us on 360 Info Network today. Again, a very insightful show, and we're going to have to explore this a lot more. But in the meantime, we'd like to thank our engineer, Tristan, for bringing us through today. We'd like to thank you for listening and remind you that we do have a Facebook page and a website, so check us out on Facebook and online. And until we speak again, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and make today your best day. Peace.
Amen.